So if you want to go ahead and pull up the slides, we can get it kicked off. So welcome everyone to another RevOps Co-op webinar hosted by Conga. And I think today's topic is, it's all the buzz in social media land and LinkedIn land, or breakfast, as some of you call it, AI-powered revenue generation. So go ahead and introduce the speakers. We have Paola De Palma, and I said, let's see here. So Paola is the Vice President of Technical Support at Conga, boasting a remarkable 12-year tenure within the organization that began as a business analyst. Today, she leads the global technical support teams across all product lines, ensuring customers consistently receive industry-leading enterprise-grade support and technical guidance. With a track record that has garnered over 500 five-star customer reviews on the Salesforce App Exchange, Paola is an invaluable asset to Conga. Paola's career spans 2 decades in technical companies where she excelled in analyzing business needs, implementing solutions, streamlining processes, and providing top-notch technical support. She has held diverse roles from consultant to business analyst to system administrator, impacting organizations such as PLDC Consulting, Educational Housing Services, and Repsol, Argentina's largest oil company. Holding a degree in computer science from Universidad Nacional de La Plata in Argentina, Paola is dedicated to driving business value for Conga's customers through her industry best practices, while also serving as a dedicated customer advocate and escalation point for her team. Angela McKay is the VP of Customer Service at Conga, and she represents the collective voice of Conga customers and leads the enterprise and commercial CS and renewal teams responsible for customer onboarding, adoption, and renewal. She also leads the scaled CS motion, which allows Conga to engage in a smart reactive motion with customers to optimize customer engagement. With more than 10 years of experience building teams and programs to drive enterprise-level service delivery excellence for enterprise SaaS providers, Angela is a true champion and advocate for Conga's customers and their success. And last but not least, we have Chris Thompson, VP of Global Go-to-Market Operations at Conga. He's an esteemed leader in B2B technology and enterprise software marketing, with a career spanning significant roles at Samba Safety, Emergent Connect, Absio, and AT&T before joining Conga. Chris excels in building high-performance demand generation-focused marketing organizations. A marketer for technologists and a technologist for marketers, Chris is renowned for his prowess as a data-driven marketer, strategist, and versatile business leader. Known for his fearless leadership, unwavering integrity, and a player-coach approach, Chris expertly balances team performance with strategic and tactical considerations. With an impressive array of skills ranging from SaaS and enterprise software to go-to-market operations and veteran leadership, Chris is set to share invaluable insights on using AI to empower revenue generation teams. Welcome. Thank you for being here, and I'll let you all take it from here.
Well, thank you. Well, that was a lot of bios. That was fantastic. I'm very excited today to get this kicked off with my esteemed colleagues Angela and Paola. You guys are fantastic. So thank you for accompanying me on this journey to talk about Conga and how we use AI. So what are we going to talk about? Well, let's go into the agenda. So we're going to cover kind of 3 major topics, like understanding some of the benefits and the drawbacks of leveraging AI tools, and what in the world do you do with them? How do you maximize some of the value? How can you weed through all the chaff and the noise that you see in the marketplace and make it productive and useful? And then secondly, we'll talk about some of the challenges and some of the obstacles you might encounter and what we've encountered and how they can be overcome. And then lastly, kind of applying some kind of takeaways and some do's and some don'ts, a little cheat sheet if you want to look at it that way. Before we get started, I give a little obligatory message from the Conga point of view. We're going to cover some generative AI topics of what we're doing in terms of the revenue generation team today, how that streamlines processes for us, how we get to spend more time connecting with our prospects and our customers. The solutions you're going to see and some of the use cases are not Conga products. We have leveraged a handful of external tools to make this happen. and how we're going to use them across our business. As a brand, Conga for many years has deployed both AI and ML into our solutions and our technologies. We're a leader in the space in terms of deploying that in terms of our own product and solutions. So to wrap up today, we're going to talk about how we're using external generative AI, how we're seeing value in the marketplace, tell you where we tripped on a couple of bumps in the road and fell in some potholes, and where we've seen some success, and what that future looks like for us. So first, what is generative AI? At its most basic, here's a definition. So I'm going to read it just as the definition exists. Generative AI is artificial intelligence capable of generating text, images, or media using generative models. Generative AI models learn the patterns and structure of their input, training data, and then generate new data that has similar characteristics. Well, what in the hell is that? Right? Interesting definition, but what truly is generative AI? It's really two things. So it is data and it is math. It is really fundamentally that simple. From a math perspective, that's the algorithm, that's the brains, that's the, as we know it today, banging around on ChatGPT. That is the smarts of this whole thing. However, what the algorithm and the math use in order to produce stuff out into the through the models is effectively data. So data is being consumed for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, carrying on this theme from the chat earlier. Data is being consumed by the algorithm all the time. So the real choice is, where do you point the algorithm? Where do you point the smarts and the brains and points the math? And we'll cover more of that here in a couple of minutes. Now, the fun part. So bust out your keyboard skills here in the chat. What AI isn't. So I'll start off with a little story. Our general counsel, as well as our CISO, people who are very have to be very pragmatic on applications of new technology, have to be very concerned about data and privacy. When they think about all these people like Paola's team and my team and Angela's team using generative AI, here's sometimes what they think AI is. So in the chat, throw in, anybody recognize what this is? I might be dating myself or aging myself a little bit, but what is this? Oh yeah, Kevin, 100% correct. HAL 9000 to be precise, from 2001, a Space Odyssey. Certainly throughout culture and through kind of media and entertainment, AI has always been this thing over the years. So if we move a little more recently timed, albeit not super new, we have this next image that general counsels seem to think that AI might be. So, oh yes, Kevin, boy, you were right on it, Kevin. So Skynet, what most people don't know about the movie Terminator, is effectively the organization and the company that kind of ran the whole thing. The Terminator was the actual robot, and Skynet doesn't get talked about much. So let's move to something a little bit newer, kind of proving the point that AI has kind of been around for some time in various forms. This one usually doesn't get as much as a positive response. Kevin, let's see it. Let's see it. You're going to get this one too? Anyone else? Ooh. There we go. Yes, Camilla, you are totally and absolutely correct. So Ava from Ex Machina. The whole point of this is to kind of look, this is really not what AI is, right? This is what you think when you think about AI. This is what you think and others think that it really is. In reality, it is none of these. These are just kind of cool functional movie things. And if the world ever actually becomes any of these, then we're going to have some real problems. So what are we going to talk about today? So everything we're going to talk about is put through the lens of best practices from some of the most successful technology investors in the marketplace. Some of our investors, Thoma Bravo and Insight Partners, we're using their best practices across all their portcos. So this is not just Conga's kind of point of view as we go through some of this research in these use cases, but it's also their point of view, where we've seen other portcos have some wins and some losses and step in some potholes and celebrate success. So it's kind of a combination of all of that. It's just not Conga's point of view. So there's a lot to talk about when you think about generative AI. So what are some of the functions? Like where do you start? We started with analyzing from a big picture perspective across the revenue generation teams. What are all the potential functions where generative AI can add value to your organization? This is a very small list. This is not the complete list. This is an effort to try to talk through a couple different use cases from both a customer success side of the house, a technical support side, and then a kind of sales and marketing aspect. So these are just some examples of the functions that we have thought through whether or not generative AI is an applicable application that we can find additional productivity and value in from Conga's perspective. The most obvious one is not going to be here. The most obvious one is content generation for marketers. We all know, for anybody that gets any email content from SDRs and BDRs that come and prospecting into your inbox, sometimes it's pretty obvious to see when it's generative AI created. I'm seeing some head nods. Yes, we know that too. So we're going to not talk about content creation as one of the functions. It's a very obvious one. There's an immediate impact and value of generative AI if you do it correctly. That one's easy and table stakes. We're just going to set that one aside. The ones we have here on the list are a little meatier, and some of these, by the way, haven't worked out excellently for us. So we're going to talk through some of those as well. So on to the first one. So prospecting and qualification. So if I can orient you to kind of how we think about it, along with the best practices of our investors. So the top right here, you have time commitment and AI opportunity. So what is that? Well, time commitment, if you think it in terms of like the human capital, how much time do people spend on doing these activities? You'll see the next 5 use cases, the next 5 business functions will all follow the same thematic goal here. So for people, time commitment around prospecting qualification for go-to-market teams, being that that's one of the primary functions of those teams, it is a big commit of time, it is a big commit of both technology and process that's driven into prospecting qualifications. So for us, we evaluate it as a time commitment of 100%, meaning it is a plethora of time that is spent. Now, what does AI opportunity mean? AI opportunity, as we define it here, is how applicable is generative AI to reducing some of the load of the work and the time that is spent? Let me make one thing clear. None of the conversations that the 3 of us panelists will have today, this is not we're going to replace people with generative AI conversation. That is absolutely not on the table. What we're talking about is, how do we make people's jobs easier? How can they be more productive? How can you move faster? How can you make a more profitable business decisions and drive value ultimately to your customers? That's really what we're talking about. So in terms of prospecting qualification, big time commit. Also, we have found a tremendous AI opportunity specifically around research, account planning, and maximizing the value of account planning and both prospecting and qualifications, whether that be ICP driven, ideal customer profile, whether that be ingesting into some of the chat tools, stuff that the CEOs have said publicly online, whatever it is. Prospecting qualification is ripe for opportunity for generative AI, and you'll see some examples of some use cases specifically as we go through. Next one is opportunity management. So opportunity management is a big time consumer for us. We have a complex sales cycle, lots of intricate processes and qualification steps and data entry requirements. So for us, we see far less of an AI opportunity here with opportunity management. There is a potential to do more of the qualification component between stages that you can automate. We're exploring some use cases specific to, hey, we just need data input in some fields, and or using conversational intelligence, a summary of that, to be able to write in some fields in order to progress sales stages throughout the revenue generation process. We're exploring that. We haven't found a sweet spot. We think there's some opportunity for it. Overall, this is a pretty human time and capital intensive process. We haven't quite cracked the nut on. You'll see how we have a potential use case here a little bit further on in the presentation. But for us, we're not totally convinced that this is the best place that should try to build or deploy some off-the-shelf generative AI solutions. So next, we'll flip it over to Angela to talk about generative AI from a customer success point of view. Angela, take it away.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so one topic that I know is hot in the CS world is managing customer relationships. How can we leverage AI? I think most of us know you cannot replace humans, as Chris said, with AI, and managing a customer relationship takes human interaction. However, our teams spend a lot of time researching their customers before getting on calls, understanding usage, understanding their support cases, understanding all the different components, what's going on in the news with your customer. and leveraging AI to speed up that amount of time that the teams are spending doing that research really helps. The other obvious area that we can leverage it is chatbots and other interactive ways for our customers to engage with us. And that's an area that we're starting to explore. A lot of websites do have chatbots already, but how can we make it so that when customers are trying to get in touch with somebody quickly, if they can't get a hold of their account team, how could they quickly get an answer? In addition to managing, there's a way that we can enhance relationships. If you want to go to the next slide, Chris.
Yep.
And one of the things we're doing around enhancing is we're leveraging a tool to look at our customer health. A lot of CS teams do have customer health scores that are pulling different data points in, but we're actually leveraging a tool that helps us talk about and visualize the different components that are predicting potential churn or potential degrading NPS rates, and allow us to focus on the areas that that particular customer is struggling with versus having a holistic health score. So we're able to reduce the amount of time to forecast a risk within an account or potential opportunity for that matter. But we're definitely looking at and considering different ways to leverage AI to help with relevant articles that we could share with our customers based off of maybe cases that they've opened or other questions that they've asked in our community and things like that. And I think we're going to pass it over to Paula.
Yes. Okay, if we jump in with a quick question. Sorry,
yeah, sure.
Sure. Great.
Yeah, sure.
Evan asked, are you able to share where AI searches for company/contact data as part of the qualification process? Google Knowledge Panel, other data sources?
You're going to share. I'm reading the question. So we are, from a go-to-market perspective, from ground qualification, we're using internal data sources, and I'll cover more of what our infrastructure looks like to support that, Evan. So I'm not being obtuse in the answer, but there's a little more detail that's later on in the presentation, specifically around we're compiling some data sources internally, and we're pointing the tool against that. We have some concerns about the intrinsic bias that exists in the data sources that like the public chat GPT uses. So we are concerned enough about that we are being very probably overly conservative on what data sources are in that private data bucket that our internal OpenAI service tool is using. So I'll talk a little bit more later. Evan, I don't know if I answered your answer directly, but we're not relying on very much in terms of public data or public available data that's part of the native ChatGPT data background.
On the technical support front, we are using or implementing AI on both internal and external facing use cases. On the internal facing front, we are using AI on case management, which I will talk about a few specific use cases around case management in the coming slides. But basically, the goal is to either eliminate or reduce those non-value-added repetitive tasks that our team members have to do, and so they can shift and focus on things that are more relevant and more, excuse me, I'm coming down with something, and today my voice is a little bit raspy. Excuse me. So as I was saying, the goal, again, it's not to eliminate or reduce people, it's to help them focus on things that are more value added to our customers. If we go to the time commitment around these activities is about 30%, and the AI opportunity that we see is around 15%. If we go to the next slide, we will cover here the external facing use cases that I was mentioning earlier. As a technical support leader, I'm I'm always looking at ways of scaling, at being able to be more efficient and to do more with less. So the case deflection is it's something that we've been doing for quite a while, but AI is taking it to the next level. It's helping our customer be more self-sufficient with the resources that we provide in a more personalized and curated way. So then they can engage us when they have more complex issues that they will need the assistance from our engineers. The time commitment around these activities is around 70%, and the opportunity that we see is in the around 30%, with potential to increase a little more as customers become a little bit more familiar with and more confident on the case deflection tools. And I think
Cool.
there.
Thank you, Paula. So we'll jump into the part, some challenges and some obstacles, and what should your infrastructure look like? How do you go about, what does good look like? So we're back to the same thing here, right? What is generative AI? It's effectively, at its most simple level, two things. What we're suggesting based upon our experience to date is you don't want to focus on that. Don't try to build really complex internal custom regression analysis, correlation, all those cool, smart people words. Don't try to do that part yourself. There are off-the-shelf offerings that we'll talk a little bit here in the next infrastructure slide that you can use and you can purchase to effectively solve the math part. The math part is the most difficult to replicate. The most important thing for you, and the most important thing that we've learned, is it's about the private data. It's about having as unbiased data as you can make. You can also include within a private data source, you can include things like sensitive financial data, sensitive data around how you go to market, customer account information. So think about the things that you do not want out there in the ether or to be put on the public chat GPT. As we know and we've heard, there have been some instances where some software developers have gone out and tried to use AI to help them debug some things, and putting very specific examples of a company's IP and their code out into the public chat GPT. That will make your CISO and others absolutely lose their you-know-what. So how do you prevent it? You prevent that by building an infrastructure, something like this. So this is our current generative AI infrastructure. We use OpenAI services. It is a headless, no UI, no GUI at all. It's all API driven. It is just the math part of the two components of generative AI. Without data, it has nothing to eat for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It has nothing to consume and nothing to learn off of and nothing to give you any kind of output. So the next part here is we use Microsoft Azure. We use a private blob for our storage, and we do replicate some data from our current data lake environment. We use one of the major three vendors from a data lake perspective. We do replicate some of it in Microsoft Azure because we want all of that private data to be contained in a single location. We'll cover a little bit more in the following slide about what data we're putting in there as an example. And then lastly, on the right-hand side is custom forms, policies, and docs. We get to choose that as a business. Like, what do we want to put into this data source? So at this most highest level, this is our current level of infrastructure. When I asked IT for like an example of our infrastructure, no surprise to most on the phone, I got 77 bubbles on a chart in Lucid, and I said, okay, thank you. That's probably true. How can we effectively talk about it? So big macro level. These three things are our current level of infrastructure to support what we're talking about. All right, let's talk some fun stuff. So actual use cases. We've kind of bucketed this into two things. I'm going to cover some kind of sales use cases, the post-sale use cases. Angel and Paula will cover, but we broke them into these two kind of major buckets. So the first one up, conversation and next step summary. So I know, Angel, this is a big important one for you. I've got a kind of go-to-market theme on it. I'll let you kick this one off. And from a CS perspective, where do you see value for this, and what are you excited about?
Yeah, we have been leveraging a tool that is helping us a lot with our coaching and identifying risk that may not have been picked up during calls. So the tool that we leverage is summarizing calls, next steps. It has streamlined the time it takes for the team to track notes from the calls, follow-up action items, but it's also allowing my management team to go back and do some quick picks of calls versus having to listen to every call. They can quickly leverage those recaps to identify what coaching is needed either on an individual or a team perspective. And we're also pulling out some key risk themes from this AI.
Awesome. So from a go-to-market perspective, we're similar, a little less on the coaching, but from a go-to-market perspective, to be able to, here's our process. We're currently taking transcripts from recorded calls in a conversation intelligence platform and tool. We are putting that into the generative AI that puts that through our current sales methodology and sales process. That is being written onto the Salesforce record directly, and then using an internal product that Conga offers, it composes an email, and literally with the click of a button, the summary of the email, the next steps, the actions items, any questions that were left to be answered, gets summarized, and the account executive or the BDR or SDR or whatever you call your prospecting team can effectively within 15, 20 minutes of a disco call with one of your prospects, with a customer call for an upsell or cross-sell opportunity, can look incredibly professional, incredibly polished by sending a very, very crafted in-brand, in-message, based upon your own sales methodology, an email or a communication out to everyone that attended that call, and is also personalized and can be personalized against the titles that attended that call. So if you think about the conversational intelligence tools, yes, they can do summary on their transcripts, of course. But it's how do we take that to the next level? How do we make our sellers be on the cutting edge of professionalism and efficiency and productivity as much as possible? And we found this to be incredibly useful. We're currently in an alpha stage right now, still in the testing process of it. But internally, we're going to have this in production here in the coming months, and we're super excited about it. So the next one of my favorites, Paula, kick us off. This is near to my heart.
Yes, and mine too. Let's see if my voice cooperates now. Kangaroo. You may ask what this is. It's basically a global, or the way that my team uses is like a global search. Before implementing this tool, when one of our engineers receive a case that about an issue that they didn't know how to solve, they will go and search other similar cases to see how were they resolved. They will look at knowledge base articles, and also they will look at documentation. All these three are three different data sources, so they had to do three different searches. With Kangaroo, now it's just one search, and it will bring not only information from all these three different repositories, but also a summary on the analysis of the data retrieved with some recommended steps. So great time savings for our engineers. My leadership team and myself use it as well as more of a reporting tool. Before, for example, if we wanted to know how many cases a particular customer had submitted in a particular time frame, or what was the CSAT of that customer, we will have to go to Salesforce and create a report to get that data. Now we can ask a simple question, and we will get not only the data, but also a summary of the data analyzed. So it's been a great time savings and an awesome tool.
Angela, what about you from a CS perspective? How are you guys thinking about using it?
Yeah, so our team's been really excited hearing the success that Paula and team are having. And so we've been starting to scope out ways to leverage this to help with executive briefing documentations that typically our AEs and CSMs are having to write up on their own right now, and we're able to pull in the summary information that's going to collect from all different data sources today. That is taking a lot of time of the teams. We're also leveraging this in QBRs. We're going to pull in case summaries at a high level that would be more customer facing, help them see the value that they're getting from our support services. And that's just the beginning. We're definitely working with our IT team to think about all the different areas we can start using Conga within the CS and renewals department.
Awesome. From a go-to-market perspective, we have just started building how we're going to use it. The pilot was with Paola's organization initially. You think back to that infrastructure side slide a second ago. This is the OpenAI services has no UI, has no GUI at all. So our IT team has built a very similar looking, very simple, just like ChatGPT is or Bard or right, whatever. At the bottom, there's like you've input in natural language, what you're looking for, what you need help on, what question you're asking, et cetera. So they built a very simple GUI interface that using the APIs drives straight to our private data source. Go-to-market team is really excited about how we can start using that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take all of the product marketing material, all of the product data sheets, all of the one-pagers, our primer deck, our corporate deck, our discovery call deck, all of the marketing material and marketing collateral around products, sales engineer and sales engineer documentation. Why put all that together inside this private data source, you might ask? Well, it's really simple. The two primary applications from a go-to-market perspective are you can be an AE or a BDR or SDR on a phone call with a customer and get asked a question that you don't know the answer to. And immediately live in that meeting, instead of having 19 overlays in that meeting with you, which is an expensive cost of goods or cost of sale, to have an SE overlay, have a specific product overlay, et cetera. You can be an AE on a call, have this little chat bot up, this window up. You get asked a question like, just pitch one out there. Hey, does Conga Composer support OAuth? And if that BDR is like, I don't even know what OAuth means, immediately can ask a natural language questions of this database, this private data source. It will reference all of the material I just mentioned and provide the answer back, not only the answer back, but a link to the document so you can download and share it immediately with the customer. And how awesome is it if that person on the call can be like, here's your answer. I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and share you the technical documentation, the page that it's on. Why don't you go ahead and share that with your team? That level of expertise and that level of engagement with your prospects is really exciting for us moving forward. All right, Paola, this one's over to you.
Thanks. Earlier, I was talking about internal facing use cases around case management. This is one of them, case summarization and sentiment. Basically, this is at a click of a button. It will give an overview on what that case is about, a timeline with all the interactions between the engineer assigned to the case and the customer, and what those interactions were about, and a sentiment. So it's very easy to identify this. We use it mainly, well, two purposes. One is when we receive a customer escalation, to identify if there was a gap on our end so we can address it, or if there is a situation where we need to reset customers' expectations. Or also we use these as for our QA. The managers are tasked by of having to do QA for a certain number of cases every week. This was a very time-consuming event because it will take between 20 minutes to 1 hour to review a case, depending on the length of that case and how many interactions were there. And now at a click of a button, you get that overview, and also the really valuable, the sentiment identified for the interactions with the customer. So this also has been bringing a ton of value to our team. And if we go to the next slide, we have another internal facing use case around case management, case troubleshooting. this is tied or taking the Conga rule to the next level. And it's still a work in progress. This hasn't been launched yet. But the idea is that not only it's going to pull that information from different sources, but it will analyze the information provided by the customer, identify if there are additional information that the engineer should be asking, and explicitly indicate what information should be asked, and also a recommendation on next steps. This is going to be hugely beneficial for the newer engineers that nowadays they rely on the more tenured ones in order to get help on moving these cases. So it's going to be a great time saving for the more tenured engineers that could focus on handling their own cases, and also the newer engineers that are going to be able to move faster, resulting in a better customer experience overall. And next one.
That's awesome. Thanks, Paola. Okay, so to kind of wrap it all up here before we throw it into questions, let's give a little cheat sheet, some do's and some don'ts. Some of these don'ts come directly from some pain points internally that I'm telling you, don't make the same mistakes that we did. Some of these do's are where we've seen a lot of success pretty quickly and where you might want to replicate it. So my advice and our advice as a group, as Conga as a whole, to other members across the revenue generation teams that are on the call today is consider where Gen AI can augment your business anywhere and everywhere. You will find that it doesn't, and it can't, and it won't. But consider, kind of lift every rock and consider that. Think about that time commitment percentage and that kind of AI, opportunity percentage. Do that evaluation within your business, and then hone in on where you can provide the most value in terms of productivity, reduction of hours of time that people spend. The next is, consider multiple different options, right? Whether that be OpenAI services, whether that be other services from Bard. This is not an inclusive list of all the different AI platforms that are currently out there. Do experiment with them and try some different ones based upon your own particular needs in the business. You might hone in on one that is better aligned with whatever your current infrastructure will be, or your cost envelope, or where you're at in the maturation cycle of your business, et cetera. Consider multiple different ones. Highly, highly recommend. The success that this team has had and that Conga has had with generative AI has been built on and predicated on the fact that we started from day one with a private data source. We started with that Microsoft Azure blob and continuously adding to it to populate sensitive information and private information in there to eliminate as much as possible intrinsic bias that is in the public model. And then trust me, your CISO and your general counsel and others will be very excited that you're not potentially leaking IP data outside the walls of your organization. Now, some don'ts. Don't copy and paste. This is really specific to content generation. We've made this mistake. It comes off as very disingenuous. People can see it. It feels robotic. Personalize as much as you can if you do use generative AI in terms of outbound communications, whether they be in emails, whether they be in write-ups that are on documentation of product sheets or whatever. Try to keep the human in it. All these tools, even including the ChatGPT 4.0, are not perfect. They're getting better every day, and they will over time. But make sure a human has the touch. Never take something straight out of it and send it immediately without some amount of oversight out to your prospects and customers. Then some pretty obvious. Don't go put your private IP out on the general ChatGPT public version. No. Don't do that. Don't make that mistake. And then lastly, it's a cool topic. It's exciting. Everyone's pumped with Gen AI, but it will not solve everything. You will find that it can solve some things really well and that it struggles with others, but it is not the silver bullet. It is not the silver bullet. Do not put all your black chips on a single number here, right? It will solve some things, but not ultimately everything. So with that, we'll go ahead and move to some questions. Thank you, Conga team. It's been a great conversation, and let's flip it over for some Q&A.
All right, Kevin would love to know who you have running point on operationalizing AI for your business. He's seen new roles for AI AI operations. And some people are saying they're letting RevOps run with it. What have you done as a company to help get this initiative off the ground?
Yeah, sure. So our current infrastructure it's owned by our IT organization. They're the ones that procured, built out the simplified infrastructure I provided earlier, in conjunction with people like Paola, our chief delivery officer, our chief product officer, our CRO, et cetera. Their involvement is from a business perspective of what do we want the generative AI to do? What value do we think it can bring to the organization? So it's actually been a very collaborative, Kevin, to your question, environment between the business and IT, but IT does own those functions and roles. I don't think, Angela or Paola, we have anybody with a cool title like AI operations. That's super cool sounding. I kind of want one of those, but I don't think we currently do. It's really in IT, right?
Correct. It's
Yeah.
it's the IT team, but I'm sure that they would love to have a cool title that involves AI.
I guess we know your next role, Chris.
I'm not that smart.
Yes, those of us in startups are salivating. I keep thinking of like chief people wizard or something. There's got to be someone with that title out there.
Oh, that's a good
fantastic.
one.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any other big roadblocks or gotchas that you all can share? People have really been loving the specific examples.
I've got one. Avoid the bright, shiny object chasing squirrel syndrome. Everybody thinks they've got a perfect example of what generative AI can do and the value it can provide to the business. And if you chase every one of them, you're never going to get anything done. We took a very pragmatic approach internally of what we were trying to solve, and then tried to apply the generative AI against it, and not the other way around. If that makes sense. So watch the bright, shiny, object syndrome. Lots of people are going to get amped up and excited. Try to identify a business problem that needs help, and then you ask, can AI be a benefit, and not the other way around.
So smart. So Christina popped a question in the chat. And what is your definition of success for using generative AI for case sentiment and analysis?
It's a time savings, basically. We had an estimate average time spent before, and now that it's reduced to a few seconds. So definitely time savings was the KPI.
Yeah, I think Paola, you had said earlier, sometimes 20 or 30 minutes, like per case. I mean, that's a lot of time on a single case basis.
It is, yes.
It's amazing, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kevin asked, how do you test out your use cases? Then how do you decide when you're ready to trust your models to perform in a customer-facing capacity?
That's a great question.
Smart question, Kevin.
We started with internal-facing use cases to feel comfortable with what we were, the results that we were seeing. On the customer-facing one, we're still in the process. I don't think I mentioned that, but on the case deflection, for example, that's one of the things that we are working right now. But with that one, we're being extra cautious because we want to make sure that the customers have the best experience from the first day. So my recommendation would be do a lot of testing, don't rush it, and start with internal facing use cases that you can validate before going externally.
Yeah, human oversight is so important right now. I think that's so smart. If we have anyone been using it for segmentation, identifying clusters of customers, etc.?
Yeah, I don't know, Angela, if you guys have you done anything on your side?
We're doing it in a sense of customer health segmentation. So as I was kind of mentioning earlier, we're leveraging a tool to help us with NPS prediction and renewal prediction. And so what it's allowing us to do is group customers in healthy, not healthy, risky, so that we can deploy our resources to the most at risk, or in the opposite, super healthy. Maybe there's opportunity for expansion that we can go target. So it's streamlining the amount of work that we're having to do to identify which customers to go after for that segmentation. We do have a large customer base, so I can't necessarily have a dedicated resource to all those, but we do have resources available, and we want to make it the most effective in our approach.
Yeah, and I've definitely heard of using machine learning, which is a bit different for identifying patterns and elevating engaged accounts that are likely to buy. I've used that myself. But I think generative AI slightly different. The difference is fuzzy to me, though, admittedly.
Yeah, Max, we have it
Fair.
on the go-to-market side. It's one of the ones we talked about initially with a list of 67.3 million options for generative AI we talked through. It was not considered pretty quickly on whether that was the right thing or wrong thing. I'm not certain, Max, but we decided not to begin to deploy our efforts against something like territory assignments, customer segmentation analysis, like that kind of stuff. It just was a right or wrong. It was a choice we made because we deployed some of these other use cases we felt were probably more powerful on a day-to-day basis, where that customer segmentation, at least for us, from a go-to-market perspective, that happens around annual planning and changing of a new fiscal year with sales kickoff, or even sometimes at a multi-quarter process, or we're going to target a new market. So that to us was too infrequent for us to deploy something that we wanted. Something more like Paula's instance with the case management. That's every day, multiple times every day to maximize that value. So right or wrong, Max, I don't know, but we haven't done it on our side.
Interesting. So Lauren asks, what do you say to people who are skeptical of using AI? Maybe they're Westworld fans and it just seems pretty scary. I had to throw that out there.
I mean, I can start.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can start this one. I am one of those skeptics, to be very frank. It's been hard for me to want to trust the data, if you will, that I'm being pushed, but I've done a lot of double checking to make sure that I truly trust what I'm seeing before I deploy it out to the team. I've been very careful about throwing something new to the team that is just going to weigh them down, cause them more stress. We're asking a lot of our frontline teams as it is. So I've done a lot of that kind of validation in partnership with some of my other leaders and partners across the business before deploying it. And then my trust has grown, but I've definitely been a skeptic from early stages.
My take on it is you should have some skepticism, right? We should. However, at the same time, I think the overwhelming consensus is that it is here to stay. It is a productive, good thing when used correctly, properly, solving the right problems. But to be a natural skeptic of something that is so new, that really popped in the last 12 months, I think is a normal human reaction. And to Angela's point, if you weren't some bit of a skeptic and you weren't willing to kind of pump the brakes every now and then to build the level of trust, and you were just 900 miles an hour from the get-go, I say you're foolish. I'm pro generative AI, but I don't want to take a foolish approach. So Angela, I'm with you. I don't think it's a matter of being a skeptic or not. I think we all should be. But then how do you mitigate and minimize those risks and do it intelligently to get value out of it?
Right.
There's always a risk of losing that competitive edge if you don't push yourself a bit to consider how to use it. So if they're skeptical, I don't know. I might consider what you may lose out on by not experiencing it.
I think Chris and I were chatting a little while ago around, right, when SaaS became the big thing and how people jumped in. And it's the same similar kind of feeling that we're going through right now with generative AI.
100%.
And before that, everyone wanted to be cloud, right? Rewind, dating myself again here, rewind, 15, 17 years, and cloud was all the popping in the late 2000s. Everyone wanted to be on it. Everyone wanted to say the products were cloud-based, and half the people didn't even know what they were talking about. So we're in a similar kind of, hype cycle, if you will. So yeah, it's get on board the train, but don't drive it at, Mach 3 right out of the gate.
Evan asked, we're getting more questions. So Evan asked, is there a way you set realistic success benchmarks for accuracy of AI tools? I really liked how you measured what you considered successful, but how do you set similar benchmarks for accuracy?
Paolo, are you guys
I think
using
it's a lot of testing? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Are you guys using the thumb up, thumbs down component? The
Yes.
down vote, up vote? Can you talk more about that?
Yes. So I was going to mention that we do a lot of testing, and similar to Angela, the approach that I took was I didn't release none of these directly to our engineers. We first started with my leadership team, and we did extensive use of it before starting, with or sharing with our engineers. And we have a feedback mechanism, which you have, the typical thumbs up, thumbs down, and a box to provide specific comments about why you're giving the particular rating. So that has been helpful, and that also has been helping and improve the overall accuracy of the tool.
We have another question from Peter. Have you looked at ChatGPT Enterprise for Conga, and does that solve the privacy question to allow you to layer in privately available data?
I think the answer is yes. I don't recall all the specifics on it, Peter. I think the answer is yes. But with our infrastructure we have now, you can choose with the OpenAI services to point to your private data source or point to the public. You get to choose. So based upon whatever criteria you as a business decide, you can point to the public or point to internal. Right now, we've got the point public just kind of not turned on, if you will. So we're pointing to our private, but you do get that capability outside of ChatGPT Enterprise. But all the details of why we didn't choose it, Peter, I wish I had more information for you, but it was a choice that we made, and I don't recall all the details.
So you may have a similar answer for the next question from Andreas. What made you decide to build versus buy?
Oh, this one's actually pretty easy.
Great.
Because Conga has been deploying machine learning and AI into our platform and into our tools and solutions for many years. It was we already have some skill set internally. We already have some knowledge internally. So it was a pretty easy decision for the IT organization and also our product organization to move forward with a build approach because we had some expertise already there. That was a relatively easy thing for us to decide as a business.
Wonderful. Well, it looks like the questions are wrapping up. I want to thank you all. I think a lot of us are under pressure to figure out how to start incorporating this into our day-to-day, and really appreciate you sharing how your teams have been impacted. So thank you so much, everyone. We will be sending out the recording soon, and we hope to see you at our next event. Thank you, everyone.